Today, the stories of two murder cases, both in New Jersey. In our first case, the idyllic lives of two newlyweds comes to a shocking end.
She claims she's being stalked by a maniac.
But not everything is as it seems.
There were secrets and lies.
In our second case, things are getting hot and steamy in the kitchen.
They were going to start a new life together.
But something goes terribly wrong.
Things just escalated out of control.
Will justice be served for these crimes? Two cases of love gone wrong, coming up now on Murderous Affairs. Vineland, New Jersey. February 11th, 1997, Tuesday, 8:46 p.m. Police officer Joseph Williams is out on routine patrol. So far, his shift has gone without incident. His route takes him into Giampetro Park. It's closed at night, but unofficially, it's a popular hangout for local teens.
It's no secret that this is where they go to park their cars and have a little alone time with their boyfriends or girlfriends. So the worst he's expecting to find is maybe a few frisky trespassers to send on their way.
He spots a vehicle about halfway into the park and straight away notices something unusual.
It seems strange that in the dead of winter, in the freezing cold, whoever's in this car has the window down.
There's someone inside who he thinks might be trying to hide from him.
It seems like she's dead. He checks her vital signs, which are negative. He immediately radios for backup and contains the crime scene.
The woman has been shot twice with a shotgun, with a fatal blast striking her chest. There's a black handbag and a pair of glasses on the passenger seat. Officers discover a driver's license, revealing the victim is Kimberly Tetz, who lives nearby.
She was a 29-year-old married nursery school teaching assistant, so it's a real mystery why she'd be out here alone late at night.
Detectives have a theory for why her window is down. It's possible she knew her killer.
This certainly doesn't have the hallmarks of a robbery or a random attack.
Investigators sweep the grounds for evidence. Officers break the devastating news to her husband.
Ed Tetz is a 26-year-old carpenter. He and Kimberly had only been married 8 months, so they were still very much newlyweds.
His reaction is far from what they expect.
Ed seems really calm about the whole thing. It's like it hasn't even registered. Maybe he's just in shock. People react to things differently.
Under questioning, Ed Tetz tells investigators his wife left home around 7:15 p.m. that night. She said she was heading out to pick up some groceries, and he has no reason to believe otherwise.
But the detectives note that there are no grocery bags in the car. Did Kimberly lie about where she was going? And if so, why?
Although she was out of the typical age range, Kimberly had gone to a park with a reputation for discreet rendezvous. Could she have gone there to meet someone?
Her husband insists their marriage was solid, and he's not aware of any problems. Investigators question neighbors who agree that the couple seemed well-suited. But as investigators probe deeper, a darker aspect of Kimberly's life emerges. Investigators discover that another man seemed obsessed with her.
Kimberly claimed that someone had been stalking her. She said the man would call her, would follow her around, send her flowers, even though he knew she was married.
Detectives learned that the alleged stalker, a man named Ronald Portadin, was no stranger. He and Kimberly had dated years earlier.
Before Kimberly and Ed got married, she and Ronald were a hot item. But it seems that he had trouble letting go after they broke up, which naturally makes him a potential suspect.
Authorities track him down and quiz him about his relationship with Kimberly.
He claims that he had nothing to do with Kimberly and hadn't seen her in years. After they broke up, he says he met someone else and they've been happily married.
His responses give detectives little to go on.
The detectives can't seem to pin anything on Ronald. There's no hard evidence that he had any misgivings about Kimberly or that he was stalking her. At this point, it's just hearsay.
But when Kimberly's father speaks with police, the investigation takes a new direction as he sheds light on the true state of his daughter's marriage.
He tells investigators that Kimberly and Ed's marriage was far from perfect. In fact, their relationship was on the rocks.
Kimberly's father claims just weeks before her murder, she came to his home distressed.
She was frantic. She told her parents that Ed wanted a divorce despite them having only been married for a few months.
However, both families rally around the couple for support, and it appears to work. They seem to be in love once more.
So police seem back to square one again.
Until a new tip comes in.
June 1997. In the wake of Kimberly Tetz's murder, investigators get a fresh lead. A woman steps forward with a startling confession. She's been having an affair with Ed Tetz.
This was a huge break. Now it's clear that their marriage was having major problems.
The woman is Michelle Malini, and her relationship with Ed was no mere fling. She fills in the authorities on all of their illicit meetings. Michelle claims that the two were part of a group of friends that met regularly for dinners, drinks, and vacations. Eventually, they became secret lovers. They enjoy steamy romps in Ed's truck or a motel room. But Michelle wants more than just sex. She wants her lover's undivided attention.
She eventually gave Ed an ultimatum. It was either her or Kimberly.
She tells police that their affair continued even after Kimberly's death, but Ed Tetz had eventually broken up with her. It's not long before yet another lead comes in, this time from an anonymous phone call.
The tipster claims that on the night of Kimberly's murder, they saw another vehicle driving in the park shortly before her murder.
The caller says it was a white truck. Investigators know someone who owns one. Ed Tetz.
And now detectives know that Ed was probably in the park. And at the time, he had a motive.
He wanted to get rid of his wife to be with Michelle.
Authorities obtain a warrant to search Ed Tetz's home and truck, looking for any hard evidence to connect him to his wife's murder.
Detectives discover that he has a collection of shotguns. There are also boxes of ammunition, the exact type as used in the murder.
And on Ed's truck, investigators find another link.
On the truck's gas tank lid, detectives find blood. Once they have it DNA tested, they have a match. It's Kimberly's.
4 long months after Kimberly's death, authorities have enough evidence to place 26-year-old Ed Tetz under arrest and charge him with her murder. But for her family, there's no quick justice.
Unfortunately, Tetz's legal team is able to stall the start of the trial for 4 years.
Finally, in February of 2001, the case begins. Prosecutors rely on DNA results, circumstantial evidence, and the interviews with the defendant. After an 8-day trial, the jury returns with a verdict. Edward Tetz is found guilty of first-degree murder. He is sentenced to 30 years in prison without the possibility of parole. Bergen County, New Jersey, Sunday, September 1st, 2002, 4:15 a.m. A local school teacher named Antoinette Bush is out for a stroll through a neighborhood park. As she nears the parking lot, something catches her eye. Terrified, she immediately dials 911.
Police race to the scene and examine the horror. The woman is lying on the ground covered in blood. They check for any sign of life, but she is very clearly dead. There were wounds all over the body. The examiner found that some of them were made in self-defense, and he concludes that the weapon was more than likely a double-edged knife.
The victim's body is transported to the medical examiner's office for a full autopsy. Once there, investigators take the woman's fingerprints and run them through their database. Detectives learn that the victim is a 36-year-old native of Costa Rica named Flora Beth Chinchilla.
Floribeth had immigrated to the United States in 1995, but she has no family here.
However, listed with her identity is the address of her next of kin, a woman named Maria Lobo. As far as she knew, Floribeth had just moved in with her fiancé, a man named Keith.
Maria didn't know very much about the man Floribeth had fallen in love with, but she said she seemed excited about the prospect of them living together. She didn't pack many of her belongings. She said she wanted to start afresh with all new furnishings.
Investigators hear a crucial piece of information to form a timeline. Maria Lobo says she saw Floribeth and Keith together the afternoon before the murder.
She said that Keith had come by in his SUV to pick up Floribeth and move her into his place. Before leaving, she told Maria she would send along her new address and phone number soon. It was the last conversation they had.
Unfortunately for investigators, Maria has no idea where Keith lives, but she does pass along one last piece of information: the name of the restaurant where they both worked. She tells police that Floribeth and Keith had met while working there as cooks. With a new lead, detectives visit the restaurant in hopes of tracking down Keith.
The general manager tells them that Floribeth was a hard-working employee, but that she'd left there several months earlier. In fact, Keith has stopped working there as well about the same time. He hasn't seen either of them since.
He tells detectives that Keith's last name is Middleton and provides them with his latest known address. At 7:30 that night, investigators arrive at the address and finally meet Keith Middleton. They tell him they are looking for information regarding his fiancée, Flora Beth Chinchilla, without revealing why. He has surprising news.
Keith Middleton says the detectives must be mistaken. Floribeth is not his fiancée. He's married.
September 2002. Just hours after Flora Beth Chinchilla is found murdered in a New Jersey park, police are surprised to learn her supposed fiancé is actually married to someone else. When Keith Middleton's wife is out of earshot, he does admit to knowing her.
So the officers know for sure that they work together, but they suspect he's holding something back.
The detectives ask him to come to the station for further questioning.
Keith really didn't seem too bothered by all of this.
He claims that the two were just friends and co-workers, nothing more. But investigators make it clear that they don't believe him, and he finally starts to tell the truth.
Keith owns up to having an affair with Floribeth for over 2 years, and he admits to proposing to her even though he's actually still married.
He also says he was with her the previous night and asks if she's all right. The detectives now reveal the tragic news. Flora Beth has been murdered.
Keith becomes very upset. He seems to be broken-hearted. He's desperate to know if the police have any idea who killed her.
But they're being coy about what they know and suspect. Detectives ask if he had been in the area of the park the night before. He claims that he wasn't, but is caught in a lie.
He's promptly told that a local police officer saw Keith's SUV at the scene.
Keith Middleton now changes his story and admits being there, but denies having anything to do with Floribeth's murder.
The investigators are pretty sure that Keith is holding out on them, and they try to trip him up.
They ask what Floribeth was wearing during their last encounter. He describes her attire to a T. The detectives want to know in particular about the sweater she wore. Was it hers, or did it belong to Keith or his wife?
One of the detectives said he was going to ask Keith's wife personally about it. At that, Keith became outraged. He said, "How? Are you going to ask my wife about my girlfriend's bloody sweater?"
Keith Middleton doesn't realize that he's just confirmed a detail only her killer would know.
While the detectives had told Keith that Floribeth was murdered, they said nothing about her sweater being covered in blood. He'd made a fatal mistake.
Keith Middleton is placed under arrest and charged with Floribeth's murder. Investigators descend on his home and vehicle. There, they discover a number of items belonging to Floribeth, along with 2 bloody knives and handwritten love letters promising her marriage. When confronted with the overwhelming evidence, Keith finally admits everything.
He says it happened in the park. I did it.
He confirms the two were still having an affair, but recently they've begun arguing. Floribeth tells Middleton she wants to take a walk through the park. He claims he was carrying a knife for protection.
As they wander around, he tells the officers that he tried to end things with Floribeth, but Floribeth became upset. She threatened to call his wife and tell her everything about the affair.
The two get into a heated argument before Keith Middleton loses his temper and begins repeatedly stabbing Floribeth. After a 2-week trial, Keith Middleton is found guilty of murder and sentenced to life in prison. Two cases, both from New Jersey. 2 married men playing with fire and taking innocent lives to satisfy their lust.